ahead there, Perry, and just you, me, and Dan.
WA1HLR. KD4 UMU W3 MMR. Good morning, guys. Just waking up. Still waiting on the coffee to finish. It's still dripping. Still getting that last drop out of the pot there through the filter. Yes, the band's hanging in there. Tim, you took a real slow QSB fade. It's real slow. Listen to me. I'm not even awake yet. Real slow fade there, but came right back up. Local noise is very low this morning, which is good for me because it hasn't been low the past week or so. It's been very high. Lots of local noise. I don't know what it is. Who knows? All these freaking people around here. Anyway, everyone sounded good this morning. Great signals. Back down to you, Dan. I'm going to go grab this coffee, and I'll hopefully be awake by the next time it comes around. But good signals all the way around. KD4 UMU in the group. W3 MMR.
All right, very good, Jeff. And, yeah, I've been grabbing that first cup in the morning here. As soon as it got one cup in the bottom of the pot, I threw it right in the cup and drank it. Just super stout, super strong. First thing in the morning, you need that. But anyway, go get that cup of coffee. Yeah, it's extremely important in the morning, especially if you're used to doing that type of thing. And Tim, he kills these old radios, no doubt about that. You know, when I first got this Viking, it was, man, this thing's hot as a firecracker. Transformers were just smoking hot. I could smell the caramel coating on the transformers, and I knew that wasn't going to last. So, went through and found all of the things that were robbing power. You know, little small shorting wires and C37 capacitors at the top of the, right before it goes into the, there on the plate choke, right there before it goes into the tank circuit, that's the big spray capacitor on top. I got it swapped out, and eased up a whole lot of conflict the power supplies we're having. So it runs much cooler nowadays. I don't get that burnt caramel coating smell from the transformers anymore. So she runs quite a bit cooler now. And the other thing I need to do with it here, Tim, is evidently the meter on the front of the radio here needs adjusting. If I load it up for 330 mils, like the book tells me to do, I'm at about 180, 190 watt carrier, which is way too much for the 361.46s. So what I did was, after I got it all loaded up, I just took a coupling circuit and backed the carrier down to about 130, 135 watt carrier, and then just operate like that. And I do notice that the audio does cut loose a little easier now. It's not quite as restricted. Quite a bit of extra hit space. Anyway, see how I'm holding up there at WA1HLR from KD4 UMU.
Yeah, very good, Dan. KD4 UMU from WA1H LR. Stand by. I got to get back to what I would call relaxed, laid-back operating position lighting. 1.5, 2 hours. I may wind up falling asleep in the chair, I'm not sure. Depends on how I feel. I'm dressed for the day. So, woke up close to 4 o'clock. My wife woke up along with me. We were both contemplating whether or not to get up, or maybe she'd manufacture a few more Z's. Yeah, the Valiant's an interesting one. I've worked on a number of them. I got one here that I could fire up and put it on. It's heavily modified. One of the problems with the Valiant is how they did the tank circuit, where they have a ceramic rotary switch that just switches in various arrangements of the padding capacitors to get the capacity needed. And it's a Valiant 2, and the Valiant 2, they had so many problems with the Valiant with its original stud. It's got 4 capacitors in it, blowing out. That they went to discrete capacitors, but even they are on the edge. So I never had one crop out on me. So, yeah, the plate meter shunt. It's a 0.2 ohm resistor from the B- rail of the high voltage to chassis ground. And if that resistor changes value 1 iota, it'll affect things. And I've blown it up before and almost took the plate meter when I had another Valiant that I haven't had on the air in many years. And I'd done really heavy-duty modifications to. And there was an errant wire on the mode switch that was a B+ wire that I had cut from something. It was just kind of hanging there. And it happened to short onto the chassis when I hit the transmit switch, or maybe I was transmitting. And the lead hit the chassis with a loud pound. The solar capacitor bank I had in there was 420 microfarad, 450 volt computer grade electrolytics in series. And the plate transformer I put in there was delivering 870 volts. So when that went off, in a split second, I was looking at the transmitter. The needle on the plate meter snapped off while the needle was heading for the pin. And in a split second while that was going on, I saw an orange-red glow inside the meters. The Darson-Ball meter movement coil burnt to a crisp. And then a split second later, one of the modulator tubes had a pair of 6 CD, 6 TV sweepies in there. Goes poof like a flash bulb with a blue flash. You know, things like that can happen very, very quickly. So I looked at the situation and said, meter shunt vaporized. Meter vaporized. One modulator through the column vaporized. Let's see if the rest of it's okay. So I took it JS clip lead and just clip leaded the B-minus rail to chassis ground. Dug up another modulator tube. Turned on the furnace after replacing the fuse, letting things warm up. Then carefully hit the transmit switch. And everything came up. Had modulation, had output, but no metering, so I couldn't see exactly what value things were. And it's been in that condition for about 20 years, but it's sitting out in the shop trailer. Yep, the 2-minute buoyant value, heavily modified. I stuffed in a mod transformer from a T368 and this big-ass plate transformer from another piece of military gear that is the same size as the T368 mod transformer, pretty substantial, and it looks like it was meant to be. But what I did at the tank circuit is I got rid of the setup that they had. I still kind of kept it, but I moved the positions of the coarse and fine coupling, and where the coarse coupling was, there's plenty of room behind that control, so I mounted up a 4-gang, you could call it a broadcast band air variable, but it actually probably came out a piece of Hewlett-Packard equipment, like an audio oscillator or something. So each gang is 500 puffs, that's 2,000 puffs. I mounted that, and then I moved the coarse coupling into what was originally the fine coupling, and I kept that for auxiliary. Now that 2,000 puff cap served well right up through 40 meters. On 75 and 160 you had to switch in more capacity. I added a few more turns to the tank coil. Out of another transmitter I had that same stock, that silver plated, like 3/16-inch tubing, and I wound up a few more turns on a form and very carefully grafted it onto one end because, yep, the play voltage, you have to raise the impedance that the tank circuit will match at. So I'd like to get that transmitter back on the air, but it's like so many other things around here, I just don't have time or the place to do it yet. And there you go. And W3MMR. I imagine you're not on the DX100 this morning. Sounds good. It's WA1HLR.
KK4GZ2.
Hey Kev, get it over to you here in a minute. Just Dan in here. KD4UMU and myself, which you've probably been listening for a while, so you know that. Real good, Tim. Well, that sounds exactly what happened to my frickin' Ranger. Like, just about what happened to my Ranger. That's crazy, man. I was sitting there one night, all was well, I was talking on it for like 2 hours. It'd been working good for weeks. And I go to key up, and as soon as I hit the stalk on the D104, it was like catastrophic Hiroshima inside the Ranger. And it all happened so fast before it had a chance to blow the fuse, the slow blow fuse. And I'm not going to run one in there now, but I key up, shunt resistor. I think that the final went, well, I had a bad final too. I think the final went bad, and it caused the grid shunt resistor for the grid current, that 20 ohm resistor, to grenade and short the ground, which then caused the meter to, like, the same thing that happened to you, man, slam up against the side, stick there. The meter coil inside, after I took the meter apart after all this, it was like black. I mean, that thing must have almost got to the point where it just, burn apart like yours did. And then also the meter switch lit on fire and burnt contacts off of the meter switch. All within, a split second, man. So I went in there, replaced the meter switch, replaced the meter, replaced the final. Everything's good. It doesn't short anymore when I turn the thing on. When I key up, I got good mod current and everything. Okay, I talking to the mic, I get a good swing of mod current and all, but I can hear myself like I've never been able to hear myself out of the modulator tubes before. I think it's coming out of the modulator tubes, and it looks like it's oscillating on the scope. It's putting out fine, good carrier power of 50 watts, but peak power, no. Okay, and if you look at the signal on the scope, the scope pattern, I mean, it looks like a bunch of square waves. Okay, it's flat topping. It's hitting the bass line real easy. I tried different modulator tubes. I tried 12AX7. I tried 12AU set, different 12. Every tube I've replaced in the thing, it still does it. And when you're just sitting there with a dead carrier, you're supposed to see a nice flat carrier envelope on the scope. Well, not here. I mean, it looks like the Atlantic Ocean. It's like it looks like oscillation. Now, Tim, I have your the low power, the plug in the back with a switch on it for high and low power, high and low voltage. If I switch to the low voltage position, all that goes away. All those, like that oscillation, the crazy square waves on the scope with the modulation, the audio and all that. Audio goes back to like normal. Everything goes back to normal when I switch it to low power, low voltage. So I'm wondering like if I blew up a capacitor or something in there, or something else smoked. But I replaced all the tubes and that hasn't fixed it yet. But yeah, everything on the meter looks good. Plate current might be a little on the low side, but good grid current, good mod current. So I don't know, I'm kind of pulling my hair out about it, but the way you described what happened to the Valiant, and I think it sounded exactly what happened to mine here, man. And now I have a new meter in there. I got diodes across the meter and everything now, and everything protected, but it's a little too late. But we're almost there. Ranger's almost back on the air, so maybe I blew up some filter capacitors or something that are breaking down under high voltage. Down to you, Kevin. Send it over to Dan, UMU. KK4GZQ in the group. W3MMR.
Okie doke, Perry. W3MMR with the group. KK4GZQ. Good morning, Tim, Perry, Dan. Been listening to you guys in the den for a little while on the 570 and the 40-meter loop. You guys are all pounding in on that as well. Decided to come in here and jump on the flex here with the AL1200. And Dan, I got my microphone in down here, and I still haven't decided what I'm going to do as far as the 3-pin XLR to the RJ45. I've got I guess it's a Kenwood adapter, RJ45 to an 8-pin DIN, I think it is, that I use now, which just happens to be the same as the Flex. Or no, I'm sorry, that came with the Flex. And the cord that came with the GM5 actually fits and works perfect with the adapter that came. But, Dan, I've been searching the internet, and about the only thing I can find, other than me trying to make up a cord myself, are those $40 cables that come from DX Engineering that has the momentary PTT input there on it, where you can break in with a foot pedal or whatever. Anyway, I've got my mic, but I haven't got it wired yet. Been working, actually been working quite a bit, both with my little business and also on this tower project that I've been slowly coming along with. I've got my guy tower completely, or my pull tower completely guyed, rather. In my hinge part, 60-footer, I've got 50 of the 60-foot together on the ground. It runs uphill, so it's a little difficult not being flat on the ground, where I have to prop it up and find ways to work with it. Anyway, I think it's going to work out good.
and I should be testing it with the winch maybe late this afternoon or evening. Temperature's going to be 65 degrees tomorrow, somewhere in the low 60s anyway. And I've got another property wash here locally, so that's what's going on with me, guys. Other than been doing a little reading, just finished one book and started another. Here it comes to you, Dan. KD4UMU. Good morning, and I hope your wife is recovering and doing good with her recent surgery. KD4UMU, KK4GZQ. I feel real good there, Kevin. And yeah, lots of info. You guys, restaurant, super nice, transmission. Yeah, wife's doing pretty good there, Kevin. She just got off a while ago there with me and got her situated in her chair in here, and she's got her iPad, TV remote, telephone, and all that. So she's ready for the day. And Kevin, I'll send you a picture of what I did on my XLR2, that 8-pin module. I've got a little breakout box. It's a little small too. It's about 2-inch box. One side has the plug in there for the 8-pin, and the XLR broke out the side cutters and I cut the XLR right off the end of the cord and peeled it back and wired it to the terminal lugs inside that little box. So that's what I did on my. A lot of people cringe about the idea of cutting off the XLR, but well, that's what I did, and it works. So I'll send you. I'll snap a picture of it and send that to you via text message here in just a few minutes. And Gary, as far as that Ranger goes, man, I tell you, like Mom always said, you know, I love these old radios when they work, and just absolutely hate it when they don't. But you know, you keep chipping away at it, you'll figure out what went wrong, what happened, get it going. And when you do, you'll be more satisfied about actually being able to get in and fix that. And a little bit of help from your friends goes a long way on that. Lots of questions, where to look, and all that kind of stuff. I've been helped along the way on mine several times, and thankful to get them too. So, and I learned quite a bit in the process. So, you know, I'm one of those guys that stepped into these old plate modulated rigs, not knowing anything, to gaining a pretty good wealth of knowledge about it. And the main thing is, you know, how these circuits work and all of that. And you know, I'm not any professional by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm learning as I go. So that's a plus. Just keep your fingers off the B+ when it's activated. That'll make your hair stand on end, that's for sure. And Tim, I don't know what you did when you got in the laid-back operating position, but man, the audio come up, the signal got stronger, so maybe there's something to that reclining chair that helps out in the transmission of the signal. And truth be told, probably just the fan got better, you know, but hey, sound good anyway. And I'll take a look at that 0.20 resistor, shot resistor in there on the meter, and see what it's reading. I'm sure just about every resistor in this transmitter's probably changed value somewhere along the line. But yeah, running that tank circuit with, or should I say the coupling circuit, loading it up for about 180, 190 watts was not good. No way you're going to get that 4-to-1 ratio with it loaded that heavy. So went in, back it down. It looks like about 240,
240 mils on the plate. Gets me to about 130 watts, so that's where I'm running. So that's my error right there. About 55 mils on the plate error. So we'll get in there and take a look at that 0.20 resistor and see what that comes up with. And let's see. Another thing. And I found out about these meters on the front of these radios. I had dust all over the meter, so I reach up with my thumb and wiped off some of the dust, and then went and got like a lint-free cloth and run it across the front of the meter to clean it off. And evidently, I created some type of a static charge on that plastic lens on the front, and that meter did not like that at all. It took a good while for that charge to finally dissipate off the front of that plexiglass lens. So be very careful on how you clean the lens if you get dust. So another lesson learned there. And real good, Tim, on changing the course knob on the coupling circuit on the Valiant. Yeah, I've still got just the regular old chunky 10-position switch on this one. But I took out the little four little chiclet silver mica capacitors down there and threw them out because I had those 500 working both capacitors down there in that coupling circuit, and I kept eating one of them out. So I changed and went to 1,000 working volt, same value, did the same thing. So I yanked it all out and put a doorknob in it, 330 peak doorknob, and that dude doesn't heat up. So that's working good. But I think the original problem on all of that was that leaky C37 plate capacitor on top up there. So that came off. The old Sprague capacitor come out and put, I think it was 1500 peak, 20 kV working both capacitor in its place. And seems to be working okay. But I do not have the stock configuration of that series parallel 330 peak silver micas. They're gone, and there was plenty of room in there to put the doorknobs in the bottom, so that's what I did. Anyway, that Tim, here she comes, WA1HLR and the group from KD4UMU.
Okay, Dan, very good. KD4UMU from WA1HLR. I'm not sure what C37 is. Is that TV doorknob cap that's the blocking cap between the PA tubes and the tank circuit?
Yes, sir, that's it.
I've never known one of those to crap out, but 500 puff is a very small value for the impedances. So in the Valiant I've got in here, many years ago, I used the plate blocking cap from a Viking 2. And the Viking 2 uses a ceramic doorknob transmitting capacitor that probably was a custom order, because usually those caps are in an assortment of values, but 500 puff or 1,000 puff, but 2,000 puff. So I put that in there. Never had a problem with it. But you don't want to go any higher than that, because it will begin to impact the higher audio frequencies. So, it's not a critical value. It just has to handle RF currents. The same thing with all those damn padding caps underneath. You have to use capacitors rated to handle that much more RF current. I got lots of stuff like that. I generally use transmitting micas, but much larger ones than what's there because you make a room, mount it up above on the chassis, everything. Excuse me, different. Yeah, and that's the thing with the potential damage that can occur.
Stand by, frequencies in use, old man.
As I told Perry, too late, but you just take a set of ordinary old rectifier diodes like 1N4007s or maybe even something healthier than that, and you put them in parallel with the meter back to back. In other words, positive or say anode to cathode on either end are tied together, so that no matter what voltage gets applied to the meter in a fault condition, the diode will clamp at 7/10 of a volt. I call them Harry Carry diodes, just like in the tungsten gear you have the Chernobyl resistor in the VFO. Well, in this case you have Harry Carry diodes, and if the fit hits the sham, then the worst that would happen would be a diode would just short, and that'd be it. You wouldn't see any the meter would not respond because the diode is shorted, but it didn't get wasted in the process. And Perry, with your situation, switch in the back to go to low power, I take it that feeds the low voltage B plus to the bottom of the secondary of the mod transformer, so when you go to low power you lose your plate metering.
That is correct.
Yep. Well, that's no longer on the list of approved modifications, and I'll explain why. Being that you're a mechanic, I'm sure you know about the Ford Pinto Explodomobile if it's nailed in the rear end, eh?
Oh yeah, I know all about it, man. It's just weird that it doesn't. It's not working, in the high voltage position. It's like it's haywire. Shit goes crazy. Excuse my language, but I flip it over, to the low voltage setting, the low power setting, and so everything seems to be fine. Now, Tim, I usually normally run it, in the high power position and into an attenuator is what I have been doing. But I just switched it. I had always left the switch on there, and I just switched it to see what would happen, and it seems to work in the low voltage setting, but not the high voltage.
Yeah, something isn't wired correctly, but just like Ford Motor Company, they probably issued all kinds of warnings about that. Well, I would do it that way, but I could explain the methodology to not do it that way. It kind of came to light when I was talking with some, I don't know whether it was a KB3, KA3, or some guy that was using a Ranger to drive an amplifier, and he said that when he did the mod, if you happen to put the transmitter in the CW position and you have it in low power, that's when all hell breaks loose. Because when you put the transmitter into the low power mode, the high voltage B plus is placed it's across. But anyway, the high voltage winds up going to the other side of the switch. So, case in point being, many years ago, I did up a Ranger, just quickie, audio coupling and all that. There's a guy that used to be very active, Al, into SHG, been dead since the 90s. He just suddenly crapped out. He was helping his parents move. They had been living on the West Coast, and they moved to Jersey. He lived up in upstate New York, up north of all baloney. In fact, yes, all baloney is an Alism. Not one of mine. And he was real hot WX. He was helping his parents unload the moving van and whatnot. And, you know, he was just busting hump. And then when it was over, he was taking a shower. Next thing you know, his parents heard a thud in the bathroom, and there he was, sprawled out, unconscious. So, of course, they called 911. That's if 911 was in existence then, and he died. He died, you know. But Al had Ranger 2. And then one day, something went wrong. I don't know what he may have inadvertently, and I have no idea. When you put the transmitter in the CW mode, that all hell will break loose, and he probably did that. So what happened is that the high voltage got shoved into the low voltage because I think, you know, an electrolytic cap that had been added, you know, for the low voltage filter, I think it blew up. It was a short, and the thing was overfused, and it burnt up the power transformer. So I've got another transformer in there. In fact, I have that particular Ranger. It went from Al to Warren T2RS, and I'm going to do some upgrades on it. And then maybe it'll go up for sale. It has the power transformer I put in it is the same thing, a Triad R26, which I have in the Globe Scout Deluxe and in my Exciter class Ranger, where at full power the plate voltage is only about 380. So it makes a whopping 25 watts out in that mode. I've come up with a means of rewiring the function switch to go from high to low power, which can be a bit involved. But there's other methods of doing it with some relay switching and steering diodes that may be easier to do. But essentially, when you put the transmitter into low power, the way it works now is the path from the high voltage rectifier to the input of the high voltage filter reactor is wired in series with a set of switch contacts. You know, the function switch, the outer wafer, which selects, I think, shorts the secondary of the mod transformer when you go to CW mode and all that. Well, there's another set of contacts that are used to turn the little red pilot light to on and off when you go into transmit. Well, I get the voltage from another set of circumstances for the little transmit indicator pilot light, but that set of contacts, I wire that in series between the high output of the high voltage rectifier and the input of the high voltage filter reactor. Meanwhile, from the low voltage rectifier, I've got a healthy diode whose anode goes to the output of the low voltage rectifier, and the cathode of which goes directly to the input of the high voltage filter reactor. So when you place the Ranger either in the standby or the tune mode, the output of the high voltage rectifier gets disconnected from feeding the high voltage filter reactor. And the series diode from the low voltage rectifier feeding the high voltage filter reactor takes over and feeds forward, so that the high voltage filter's power supply circuitry drops down to close to that of what the low voltage supply voltage is. The other thing is about the low voltage power supplies, the filter reactor has got DC resistance of 300 ohms, and adding the 60 mils or so of extra load on it, that or 70 mils that the 6146 pulls, gets that reactor very hot and pussy. So this eliminates that problem. It's easier to deal with, and furthermore, there's a little bit of a gain in voltage because the high voltage filter reactor does not have the DC resistance of the low voltage. So that being said, and being confusing maybe, and then there's other performance advantages, assuming that you did not lunch the mod transformer. When you drop the voltage down on the modulator tubes, the plate-to-plate source impedance or plate resistance drops noticeably, so therefore the lack of inductance of the modulation transformer does not hinder the deep low-end response anywhere nearly as much as it does when you're at full voltage. So therefore, with a good pair of modulator tubes, even using the stock driver transformer, doing the Henry L.R. White Ranger mods, which are the simple ones, in low power, the low-end response is pretty flat and clean down to about 65 cycles or hertz. If the 6L6 type modulator tubes are pulled and a pair of 6550s put in there, the low end goes down to 50 hertz. So that being said, 72 and over to you, Perry. I know it's been a long one, but you know, a technical discourse requires discussing the fine points, because if I gloss it over, then I get a million questions. W3MMR from WA1H Yellar.
Yeah, real good, Tim. Thanks on all that, man. I mean, I got it all saved away. That's all great info, man. I'm gonna keep it moving, get the other guys in here. Back down to you, Dan. Actually it goes to Kevin, KK4GZQ, then over to Dan. KK4GZQ in the group, W3MMR.
K9 units. Actually, different this one. Was that Jerry Perry?
Oh, it was Jerry Perry.
Let Jerry go ahead.
Go ahead, Jerry. Pick it up and send it down to Kev.
Dan and Kevin were 20, 30 over earlier, and now they're down, so I'll try. You may have to relay the good morning, Jerry. Kim, Dan, so yes, who's in here so far. But I got rain moving in here this morning. I was going to do some tower work, or work, not tower work. And then put that off till later. Anyway, we're supposed to hit about 60 today, or close to it. Tomorrow as well, Friday, maybe Saturday, in the high 40s or 50s, something like that. So not bad for December. Kevin, go ahead. KK4GZQ, if he's not hearing me very well.
Okay, Jerry, fine business. I am hearing you. K9GAS in the group, KK4GZQ. And Dan, thank you for
the pictures of the breakout box. That's slick the way you have that. Jerry also sent me a connector that goes in the I/O connection on the back end of the Flex. What'd you say, Jerry? $9? It's all hardwired right there at the end. When I guess you select your input there on your TX on your transmit section, and I'm looking into getting one or the other done. That little plug just sounds like pretty simple and easy. Dan, wondering where you got the little box that you have there. Anyway, Tim's still strong down here. Perry's strong. Enjoying listening to you guys talk about recapping some of the and reconstituting some of your equipment to get to run cooler. I had an L4B here that I put the capacitor upgrade kit and whatnot, diode board and whatnot. And it really changed how that L4B brought it back to running cool again as well. I heard you talking about that a little earlier. So with that, let me just keep it moving. The group has grown. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and back out of here. I'm going to say good morning to you guys. We're looking for about 48 today for a high after a little bit of rain. And we'll try to get out here and get a little bit done. But good days are coming. 64 and 65 on both Thursday and Friday. And sunny. So, Dan, here it comes. Good morning, everybody. You guys have a great day. KD4UMU to take it. KK4GZQ.
KN4HH. All right. First off, down there, KN4HH. And signals are not great right now, so gray line is coming up quick. Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing, Kevin. I'm going to make this the last transmission, and we'll listen out for a while. Kevin, I picked up little box that I think is it was Lowe's, one of those hardware stores, Lowe's. And it's in a Lowe's, and maybe you have a Menards or something like that. For whatever reason, you go to Menards nowadays, they have just literally that you can want. Real nice store to go through. Some of the unique items that you would need to see the Menards usually have. We got a huge selection of just about everything. But that was it on that. So I guess you'll get it figured out one way or another. One way or the other will work. Whether you put the DB9 connection on the back or go do the 8-pin modular in the front. Either way will get you where you need to be. And yeah, with copying Jerry over here, but it's just super light there, super light. Anyway, with that, we'll bid everybody a good morning, and a great way to start out the morning here on AEM. So with that, Tim, here she comes. Sign me out. WA1HLR from KD4. Oh, wait a minute. Let me back up. I'm going to send it down to Bob. KN4HH. Pick it up. And when you get done, send it up to Tim. There we go. That puts us back in line. Here is KD4UMU, Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Okay, thank you so much, Dan. KD4UMU and the group. This is KN4HH, Kilo November 4 Hotel. This is Bob down in Peachtree City, Georgia, about 30 miles south of Atlanta. Good to hear you guys in here this morning. I just wanted to jump in and say hi. I'm waiting for the late group for the Florida guys to be viral after you guys are done. So I just wanted to get in to see if we're being hurried off. Tim, I hope you're hearing me this morning. Let's see how it goes. WA1HLR from KN4HH.
Yeah, you're quite true signs of KN4HH from WA1HLR. Yeah, I'm going to be yanking out of here real soon. I see the first creeping vestiges of daylight. might try and get myself in a position where I'll fall asleep. Maybe I'll go back to bed and lie down next to my wifey poo. It's kind of tempting to fire up the morning bean juice making equipment and get a caffeinous blast, but I think trying to get my sleep when I can is what's important. And before you go, Dan, what is a GM5? I take it a GM5 is a microphonium. Go ahead.
Tim, GM5, I don't know. I'm running a Shure mic on this one at 450 over.
Tim, the GM5, that was me that said that. Tim, the GM5 is a Heil dual element HC5 and HC6 high impedance, and I've got a PR20 that I just got here that we're talking about getting wired up. Go ahead, Tim, I'm listening.
Oh, okay. I'm just curious. I am familiar with the Heil dual element microphonium. Now, he made a couple of different theme variations of those. In my opinion, the wide range element is too heavy in the mud frequencies, and the high frequency element is too Dixie cups and a string. A longtime friend of mine who passed away, and I cleaned out his estate, helping his widowed wife offload a lot of stuff, but I wound up with a lot of accessories, including a Heil dual element microphonium that was styled to look like an RCA 44BX, that quintessential plastic diamond shaped case that it's in, only like 2/3 size. And that thing had an XLR on it, but it was not wired like your typical XLR where pins 2 and 3 go to the microphonium outlet, one's face down. So I tried using it with my station just to see what it would do, and it didn't do a damn thing until I figured out what was done. So it was designed to take the low impedance elements, bring them up to high impedance with a real piece of crap little audio transformer, which kind of kills the deep low enders. So I got rid of that and brought the leads of the wide range element right directly to pins 2 and 3. And the high frequency element, I paralleled that up, but I had a small capacitor, I think like a 0.68 series with it, across the wide range element, kind of like with a two-way speaker system. Now you have a woofer and a tweeter, so that added high end to it, and actually was not a bad sounding microphone. So it's like, well, I really don't need it, so I shipped it out. I gave it to Brian, W1LYD. I think he's on Lake Havasu now, Arizona. And I don't think I've ever heard him on with the thing. It's too bad, but, you know. So good luck with it. I think the PR20 mate you got there is maybe a better microphonium than the GM5. You'll have to experiment once you get that interface box configured. Always fun to play around with microphoniums. Anyway, I hear you in there. KE9U. It used to be GAS. Not real strong in here. The band is it seems like lately, in the mornings about this time or earlier, local signals that you normally hear do the old over and out are gone. And people who can't really hang but drop down, or propagation's always shifting one way or the other. But what are you going to do? Changing times, changing band conditions. It's cold out there, and there's a coating of snow and ice on the ground, and I think between today and tomorrow it's supposed to peak up near 45 and piss rain. And we'll see what that does. I'm not ready for water yet. I never am. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to get out of here. I'll just listen out. So, oh, man. Jerry, go ahead. I believe KE9 and Perry, we'll keep up with the Ranger conversation. Maybe I'll catch you on some evening or whatever. KE9U, I'm just going to listen out from WA1H and y'all are.
In for JK.
Okay. I guess, I'll let you do it back to you, so I thought, for me, but I don't know. I have to sleep here. Good morning, Art. Good morning, Bob. And, Art, I'll let Perry pick you up, but unless he had already signed, and I'm sitting here with only my first cup of coffee, so I'm halfway there. And Tim, boy, I appreciate the comment about getting all the sleep you can. That's the way I feel. It's going through stages now, but I've made my pot of coffee, but boy, that just doesn't seem to make a difference with me anymore. I've been drinking that stuff so long. I think I'm used to it, so yeah, there's no help for me, I guess. But some nights I just wake up with a backache and lay there. Of course, I'll sleep in the chair. So boy, difference how I feel. But anyway, and Kevin and Dan dropped way down. So yeah, I think Dan's getting on a bit of a short way up there. Anyway, good to hear everyone.
Pretty good season you, old man. Stand by.
You still have one left in you, I think. And if I missed this sign out, Art picking up, but I know Kevin and Dan signed. I think everybody was out of here, but I'll hang around here for another one or two. But drinking at a cup of coffee. But at W3MMR, Perry, go ahead and I guess pick Art up. I think that's who's left. KD9U.
All right, Jerry, K9U in the group, W3MMR. And good morning to Bob. Good morning to Art. Good morning, gentlemen. Good signals up this way. I'm going to make this my final two. I got to hit the command center. The Oval Office has been calling for a little while now, and I've been putting them on hold. So I don't know how much more patience they're going to have, quote unquote. Anyway, man, real good hearing everybody this morning. Tim, yeah, we'll catch up later. I'll be on tonight. You know, we'll catch up somewhere. Maybe we can head down to 160 one night and get away from the raucous crowd in the AM window in the evenings and get some so we can mess around and put our heads together with the Ranger. But I'll mess with it more today, and maybe before I go to work a little bit, see what I can't figure out. But anyway, great hearing everybody this morning. Dan, 7-3 to you. Kevin, 7-3 to you, buddy. And good luck with the PR20. I know you were talking about getting one, and glad you finally got one over there, man. And hopefully it works out as well as we were expecting and hoping to. So anyway, we'll catch you guys later. Catch up with you next time tomorrow morning. And say 7-3, have a fantastic day. Stay warm. If it's cold where you're at, 31 degrees here. And only going up into the mid-40s today. So that's the story on that. 7-3, guys. Have a fantastic day. We'll catch you next time. Down to you, Art. N4JK in the group. This is W3MMR, listening out.
Yeah, W3MMR from N4JK. Well, good morning to you, Terry, and I wish you a good day. Hope you don't have to work too hard. I think you're involved in serious work, building permanent nuclear devices and all. So, I'm sure every day is exciting. And good luck at it on 162. Sure is a good battle for AM. I just walked in the shack. I got my cup of coffee, so I'm armed and dangerous. Say hello to Nigga Jerry and everyone on let's see, we'll send it to here. I think I got it on the screen. That's pretty neat talking about using crossover capacitor and power and couple elements together for a month. That's thinking outside the box. Let's give that a try here. I'm using my good old E104 this morning and my night kit T150. Non-typical E101. Actually, I think it goes up to Bob. Bob, I'm copying you loud and clear. I think that's a sign of good service. N4HH, group from N4JK.
All right, absolutely, Art. N4JK in the group, N4HH. It is a good sign. The amplifier arrived yesterday. Quite a story, Art. I'll tell you, I got another email saying that it was going to be delayed, and I'm sitting in the living room, and the knock on the door. And here comes the amplifier, but not in a FedEx truck. It showed up in a U-Haul truck with an old guy just dressed in regular clothes. And I didn't care as long as I got the amp. Got hooked up last night and talked to Butch on 3720 sideband last night, and it's working good. The tree men got here and left, and thank goodness they put the antenna back up on higher than it was before, so it's up nice and in the clear. And I have to tell you, all you guys are doing great. Good morning to you, sir. God, it's good to hear you. Been a while since we've talked. I'm delighted to hear you. All is well up there. Well, we're almost at rival temperatures for Pennsylvania. We're 37 down here. At least it's above freezing, so it wasn't that way. It was 27 the other morning. So, but we're doing good, Art. So everything is back to normal, I hope. Okay. I wasn't sure if Tim signed or not, so I'm going to try Tim one more time. If not, Jerry, why don't you pick it up? Tim, good morning to you. I know all about the sleep situation. I take some medication that's got my sleep patterns all messed up, and I don't sleep very well at night, but I can sure take a good nap in the afternoon. Here comes Tim. If not, why, Jerry, you pick it up. WA1HLR, KN4HH. W4,
Okay, I had signed, but I just kind of listening in there. Yeah, the sleep situation, it's pretty depressing. You know, my winter hours are completely different than my summer hours, but typically, you know, I feel tired in the evening. Well, we'll say 8:30, 9 o'clock, I'll lie down. Fall asleep. I'll sleep like a rock. My wife says I sleep very, very soundly. I sleep on my side. I cannot sleep on my back because then sleep apnea begins to creep in. So, I sleep for about 3, maybe 4 hours. Then 1, 2 in the morning, I'm awake. Gotta drain the water and that kind of thing. And then sometimes my mind just wakes up, and with all the stuff going on, you know, politically, the COVID thing, and I'm not going to get political about, you know, the the whole situation, the politicizing of a very bad situation that people have to take responsibility and make sure it goes away. And there are those that do and those that don't, and the nightmare keeps on going. And I don't like being semi-quarantined, limiting myself as far as visiting with friends and just getting out there and doing things. So, you have all this crap on your mind, or the fact that winter's moving in, and certain things that need to be done, and it takes other people to work with me to get them done. I can't just do a lot of things myself like I used to. So, you think about all this crap, you can't get back to sleep. So I get up. I drift out here. I put the equipment on, and if nobody's on, I'll just fire up, start bellowing out CQs, and hopefully some other intelligent radio life form will come back. And it's been happening more lately, but earlier on, I'd bellow out CQs for an hour, and nobody would be there, except cat calls from some slot bucketeer that doesn't like the fact that I'm nearby, where their preordained ownership of a frequency is, that kind of thing. So eventually, I don't take any drugs to try and get to sleep, but what I do find that works well is I make up a bowl with one packet of the instant maple and brown sugar oatmeal. Do it up in the microwave oven, splash a half and half, stir it up, it's very soothing and calming and whatnot. And start feeling relaxed, go back to bed, sleep another 3 or 4 hours, get up. And then sometimes at that point I'm up for the day, and other times I can get myself to go back to sleep for a third round. So, I will say, I wasn't up in the night for any length of time. So, I got up around 4 and that's it. But I can't sleep when it's daylight. Well, looking out there, it looks like kind of hazy and cloudy. Oh, that's more conducive to going back to bed. Anyway, yeah, I am going to get out of here. And been an interesting morning. Good being in here with everybody. Oh, go ahead there, Jerry. I guess we all feel each other's pain. KE9U from WA1H and LR. We'll be listening out.
Okay, and I did hear you, Mac. I'll send it your direction. Well, good morning to you, Tim. Yeah, I need to quit feeling the pain of others. I haven't left my own. Just kidding. Well, good morning to you. And I do take, some of the herbal stuff to help me sleep. I don't do anything.